Year-old drowns off Hook Island. Fire tears through a family home. Day one of the police restructure. And Mackay's new rescue helicopter takes off.
Across Mackay, the Whitsundays and the coalfields with Brough. This is 7 Local News.
Good evening. Thanks very much for joining us. The body of a crew member from a Whitsunday tour boat has been found near Hook Island. Police are still trying to get in contact with the 25-year-old's family.
Hook Island is a regular anchoring point for overnight tour boats, but it's now the scene of a police investigation. It's believed a crew member left his group and travelled towards the shore on a smaller boat at around 1 a.m. The skipper reported the man missing to police at first light.
That one of the crew members, a 25-year-old man, had gone out in one of the tenders around 1 a.m. this morning and had not been seen since.
Water police and the CQ rescue helicopter were sent to search the area, but at 9 a.m. the crew told them they had found what was believed to be the man's body.
It was a search and rescue this morning, but we were stood down halfway through the task.
The water on the top end of that island is crystal clear and the conditions are very favourable. He was seen in laying on the bottom. However, once you check the depth, it's beyond the easiest means to get hold of him.
Specialised divers were flown in from Brisbane this afternoon to help officers retrieve the man's body. Police are still investigating the circumstances leading up to the incident.
Well, the vessel was anchored up overnight at that point. It's quite a safe point generally. However, on your own at that time of the night in the dark, you don't know what you're going to encounter.
Police say while the man had been living locally, they are still trying to contact his family, who are believed to be interstate. Visitors and crew members have been offered counselling. Olivia Reid, 7 News.
A mother and son have just escaped safely moments before their South Mackay home went up in flames. It was ignited as the owner worked on his car. Within minutes, the blaze had spread throughout the house.
The smoke started pulsing out of the Absalon Street property just before midday.
Devastated. I just really feel sorry for my mum. It's a family home for over 20 years and just lost everything pretty much.
I just heard a big bang and I was like, oh, what was that? And then I looked out the window and I just seen like a whole gust of flames. I was like, oh my God, I
grabbed the hose and I started putting the hose in the house down the left-hand side past the meter box because water and electricity don't mix.
Theo Boyd was working on his Commodore in the carport when the fire started.
A spark ignited a bit of fuel and the blaze just took over real quick from my shed.
Fire crews fought to push the blaze back, managing to keep it to the rear of the house.
So the majority of the house is actually unaffected by fire, or there is some smoke damage throughout the remainder of the building.
Neighbours turned off the gas. Ergon Energy then disconnected the power. In the end, the fire gutted the 2 bedrooms and destroyed the Commodore, a caravan and a motorbike in the backyard. Unfortunately, Theo's dog didn't make it out in time.
I only had her for a couple months. She was only a pup.
The mother and son lost everything in the blaze. They only escaped with the clothes on their back. They'll likely be staying with neighbours for the next couple of weeks until they get back on their feet.
The street was initially declared a crime scene by police, but this was soon overturned.
We've determined now that it's a non-suspicious fire, so police will be generating a report and we'll be gathering statements for the investigation.
Simon Nichols, 7 News.
Queensland's top cop has celebrated what he calls a major milestone in the police service. A full restructure came into effect today, and there could be more changes ahead.
Day one of the biggest service shake-up since the Fitzgerald inquiry, and the outlook is positive.
As long as it doesn't turn into a Queensland Health payroll debacle, we're going to be quite supportive. And at this stage, it's a suck it and see type thing.
The Commissioner says it will mean more frontline officers.
It releases some officers from administrative duties in those now defunct areas, and they will go to frontline duties in the main.
Mackay will still have a superintendent and 3 inspectors to look after the district.
One who's looking after the country portfolios, one looks after the city, and one is now going to be a detective inspector to look after all the crime and support services.
Bowen and Collinsville will be part of the Mackay district for the first time in 20 years.
And it aligns with their disaster management arrangements. So it makes life a lot easier for us if we do happen to have one of those disasters come through.
Traffic police will now answer to a central command in Brisbane, but their local presence won't change.
If people are expecting not to get a traffic ticket, they're in for a big surprise.
Mackay's communications centre could still move to Rockhampton.
But that won't make any difference to anybody who picks up the phone and wants a police call for service.
That's the message the union also wants to get across.
I don't think the public of Queensland will notice any change whatsoever. It's mainly a change for us as police in the way that we report.
Anita Theodoro, 7 News.
A woman in her mid-20s remains in a critical condition in Townsville Hospital after a serious single-vehicle crash near Bowen early yesterday. She received life-threatening head injuries, which occurred near Splitters Creek shortly after 7 o'clock. CQ University has revealed plans to cut another 80 staff members after already accepting 120 voluntary redundancies. Local students say despite the major staffing cuts, they've been kept in the dark.
Staff across all of regional Queensland's 8 campuses received this letter this morning outlining management's forced redundancy plan.
Well, we're looking mainly at trying to reduce our administration, the red tape in the university and the busy work. So it'd be mainly in the non-academic side of the university.
The university has knocked back redundancy applications from academics. Now backroom staff are in the line of fire. Many will have to reapply for positions following a consultation period in which the uni will ask staff for ideas.
Staff will be able to get back to us, tell us what they think about our change proposals and tell us how they'd like to see them modified.
The new round of forced redundancies will bring total staff cut at the uni to 200.
Management has said education at the uni won't be affected, but students say there hasn't been any reassurances. Some aren't even aware of the cuts going on behind the scenes.
Kept in the dark, we haven't heard anything unless I haven't heard anything.
I know it would definitely hurt the outer lying campuses because they're pretty light on with staff members as it is.
The Vice-Chancellor says he won't allow academic standards to slip.
Many of our programs are growing and we are taking on new academics to meet the needs of our students.
Jared Brevy, 7 News.
CQ Rescue has officially launched its new aircraft to coincide with its change in operators. Its new crew has already been tasked to 2 jobs today to christen the Bell 412. CEO Mark Shields said CQ Rescue took advantage of the contract renewal to improve the capability of its aircraft.
And some of the specifications that Australian have been able to deliver in terms of safety and in terms of technology, things like weather radars, night vision goggles.
Australian Helicopters says its chopper's engine is also more efficient.
Well, Australian Helicopters is the sort of area we specialise in. We do this sort of work for a lot of work in other states. We're part of a bigger group that operates ultimately 350 aircraft across 10 countries.
The crew undertook training with VMR last week ahead of today's takeover. Well, the cane growers organisation has welcomed the passing of the Sugar Research Australia bill in the Senate. The federal bill allows the cane research bodies BSES, the Sugar Research and Development Corporation and Sugar Research Limited to merge together. The entire statutory process has taken more than 2 years.
This will mean that our R&D sector will be now modernised, ensuring that our Australian sugar industry can remain as a highly competitive, highly innovative, world-class sugar industry.
The bill also has a statutory levy specifically for research and development paid by all growers and millers in the country. The Federal Shadow Minister for Health, Peter Dutton, has been in the regional Queensland area to open a subsidised private dental clinic. It's designed to keep waiting lists down and provide more people access to professional care.
This dental clinic is designed as a cheaper but quality alternative. Westfund says its subsidised models keeps costs down by about 25%.
10 million Australians have private health insurance, and I want to make sure that we can...
You know, we all know our job, and, we're all rolling up our sleeves.
We move on to next week. I mean, there's pressure to perform regardless, and we're in a position where we need to string a few together.
Veronica Eggleton, 7 News.
The Cutters have jumped to 3rd spot in the Q Cup ladder with a controversial 2-point win over Ipswich. The match went down to the wire. The Jets were disallowed a late try, then missed a penalty goal in the final minutes of the game.
Trailing by 2 with 2 minutes left, the Jets missed a chance to snatch a draw, but they were fuming they weren't already in front after having a late try disallowed. The Cutters coach had no sympathy.
I've looked at that try again and it looks to me as though he dropped the ball. I thought they got the better of the decisions throughout the game.
Muddy conditions made for a grinding contest and the Jets led 12-4 heading into half-time, but a try to Chris Gash right on the break put the visitors on the front foot.
I thought it was a just reward for some really hard work and, yeah, it certainly gave us some momentum and some belief.
They hit the front when Khalifa Faifai Law finished a long-range attack before Ipswich bounced back to reclaim the lead. But Matt Minto's individual effort levelled the scores, and while Liam Taylor missed the conversion, he didn't make the same mistake with what proved to be a match-winning penalty goal.
I thought we, dominated the majority of that match, so very happy to come away from there with 2 points.
Nathan Ferguson, 7 News.
The Meteors' state basketball season is back on track. The champions recorded back-to-back wins over Bundaberg and Gladstone. The Meteors saved their best performance for their top-of-the-table clash with the Power. They remain undefeated after ending Gladstone's unbeaten run in a nail-biter.
The Meteorettes made light work of Bundaberg before facing Gladstone in an undefeated showdown. The hosts jumped to an 18-point lead, but the Power pulled them back to trail by 4 at half-time.
That's not unusual for an outfit like Gladstone. They will keep on coming back and shooting three-pointers to get themselves back into the game.
The intensity increased, but the Meteorettes were beating Gladstone on the boards. 17 more rebounds than their opposition gave the home side more scoring opportunities, and Kayla Standish accepted the invitation, netting 25 points. The Meteorettes held on to win by 6 and now sit alone at the top of the table with 11 straight wins.
It's got us on a bit of a high, but we know that's not the end of it. We got them on the road in a couple of weekends' time.
The Meteors were missing key players, but NBL player Jacob Holmes was a ready-made replacement. The Townsville Croc put up big numbers in what's hoped wasn't a cameo.
Look, at this stage, it was just a weekend. Look at that. That's something that myself, the coaching staff and our board will have to discuss.
Damon High's 21 points and 3 assists helped tame the Bulls before Mackay kept their old teammate Braden Hobbs quiet against Gladstone.
We wanted to limit his looks and get the ball out of his hands, and I thought we did a tremendous job of doing that.
The Power never turned on at the Crater as the Meteors dominated in defence and attack, the defending champions securing a vital victory by 25 points. Nathan Ferguson, 7 News.
And Rob, that is the wrap of a big weekend in sport.
Beauty, good on you. Thanks very much, Laura. We'll take a break. We've got the weather details for the remainder of the school holidays in a moment with Liv. We'll see you soon.
This weather report brought to you by Gemini Homes.
Good evening, Livio, Regano with tonight's weather. Another month down with below median rainfall for Queensland, except for a narrow strip on the southern coast where the recent wet weather skewed the stats in the opposite direction. The Bureau's winter outlook continues to favour higher rainfall across the state. Temperatures for the most part have been on the cooler side of average, though not by very much. The range in Mackay today was 11 to 22. On today's satellite loop, the tropics are clear. As you can see, there's a massive cloud sitting over the New South Wales and southern Queensland coast, which comes from an east coast low. We'll see it on the chart in just a moment. East coast lows and northwest cloud bands are our main source of rain in winter. The last one was from the northwest cloud band, and that simply comes from the warmer than average Indian Ocean. But in this case, if you look at today's chart, you'll see this east coast low is a fairly strong one. It formed over the weekend. It's generating not only rain for New South Wales and southern Queensland, but also gale force winds, owing to the very closely spaced isobars, and in fact very rough surface reaching the coast as well. It's shooting up very cool winds right up into the tropics, and that's why temperatures have been a little bit below average. On tomorrow's chart, the low starts to move south, but not very quickly. So another very inclement day in the south. Rain should start to clear, continuing fine weather, or generally so in the tropics and central Queensland, where the air is just a bit drier. On the outlook chart, the low finally wanders away. A high takes its place, bringing fine weather back to the southeast. Meanwhile, a couple of showers will start to reform in the tropics in the southeasterly trade winds. Now let's look at the Bureau's forecasts. In coastal waters between Bowen and St Lawrence, it's a south to southeasterly tomorrow, starting at 15 to 20 knots, easing off in the afternoon to below 15. And on Wednesday, we've got a southerly, 15 to 20 again, dropping to 10 to 15 for Thursday. Tomorrow's high tides, Mackay, 6:40 a.m. Hay Point just a couple of minutes before, 6:38. Shute Harbour around 6:43. The Central Coast and Whitsunday is a fine day after a cool morning with a south to southeasterly breeze. Fine weather continuing on Wednesday, but a couple of showers returning onto the coast for Thursday. Central Highlands and Caulfields fine after a cool morning. Wednesday and Thursday both continuing fine. Temperatures tomorrow: Bowen 24 degrees, Mackay 9 to 23 the range, Claremont down to 5 up to 24, Moranbah also shooting for a top temperature of around 24 degrees. And the Mackay City forecast: generally mild weather dominates from Wednesday, not cold at all, but there may be a random shower from time to time. Thanks for staying with me this evening. It's been a pleasure having your company. Let's hope the middle month of winter is productive and brings us everything we need, whatever the weather might be. Please do join me again tomorrow. Now it's back to you, Rob.
Good on you, Liv. Thanks very much, mate. And as always, lovely having your company. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Our email, localnews@7.com.au. From the team, take care. Good night.
Tonight,